Thank you guys for coming back to another episode of Cobra TV, and this is going to be a short video today to kind of, go over what we've been talking about in the subcast about my speculation on Beyond and things like that. It seems like I'm kind of watering it down. This is the first time I think that we've ever had really solid breadcrumbs to follow for what the third update is, for what the entirety of Beyond is with the roadmap. Well, it's a survey, but they said thank you for helping us prioritize our roadmap. And I want to kind of explain a little bit. I kind of feel like people think I'm watering down the speculation a little bit, but because I think it's in my opinion that I think the third update is more depth of base building and more depth of variety to NPCs, to kind of those two kind of go together for better base building and things like that. And why I think that, a lot of people are kind of upset that I do think that, but I don't think that that's just it. We also have on that list, we got polish of existing features, which could include space as well. Polish of existing features could include a lot of things that we already have in No Man's Sky, plus more depth of variety to NPCs could also mean the fauna that's on the planets. I mean, those are non-playable characters. We can't play as the fauna. So it could also mean that as well. Big shout out to you, Godsmack, for building a cobra snake in the Coda, which is the Cult of the Atlas hub. Thank you so much for doing that, bud. It looks great. I can't wait to go there to see it on my next day off. But let's kind of go over a few things that I want to point out, and I won't take too much of your time. And this is a quote that kind of explains what I've also been explaining. Just because I think that is number 3, that doesn't mean it's that watered down. That doesn't mean that's all we're getting, because a lot of the times when we get an update, we get like bullet points of what Sean Murray says the update's going to be about, and then when we finally get the update and we read the patch notes and everything, there's so many things there that we were shocked and surprised that are there. And we weren't expecting these things. And the Beyond is going to be no different. So here's a quote where Sean Murray kind of explains that 10% of the updates are things that we weren't expecting. And here's Sean. I'm going to play the clip right now, and we'll be right back.
Right, but there's also this really important 10% where the game has completely changed in ways that people weren't expecting. We've added, base building and freighters and frigates and mission systems and NPC kind of quest trees and things like that I don't think people were really expecting, and we enjoy surprising people with that. Beyond, which is our next big update, has a whole bunch of that kind of stuff, right?
So things that we weren't expecting, like we didn't know we were going to get NPC quests when we got Next. We didn't know we were going to get a lot of those things. The frigates, we didn't know we were going to get all that stuff during Next. But before we got the patch notes, before we learned we had all that kind of stuff, we had a kind of an idea what Next was going to be. So just because we can look at that survey and kind of guesstimate what Beyond in its entirety is going to be, we know all of it by looking at that. One of those things on there is Abyss, enhancements to underwater exploration, and you can't describe what Abyss is just by that one thing on that survey. A lot of things were packed into that update that just wasn't on that simple description, enhancements to underwater exploration. So he says 10% are things that we weren't expecting, and he says there is a lot of that in Beyond. So when we think of No Man's Sky Online, we're all automatically thinking that it's just bigger multiplayer lobbies, but he said it's going to have elements of heavily online games that we are going to recognize. And I go back into thinking that, when he said that all these updates go together, that it made sense to release these together because they intertwine together, and you got the building and everything that he hasn't mentioned yet, but it's on the survey. Building would definitely go really good with No Man's Sky Online, because he also says this. Let me go ahead and play this while I get something pulled up here. Here's what he talks about with No Man's Sky Online, and also doubles down again about things that we weren't asking for, but they think that we're going to like.
It's going to have some elements that you would recognize from other very kind of heavily online games, right? That we're really excited about, that we've been watching the community. The community hasn't been asking for these features, but we can tell in the way that they're playing. We can tell from the kinds of feedback they give us that these kind of online elements will really resonate well, right?
Now, I believe what he's talking about there are the hubs in No Man's Sky. If you go to the galacticatlas.com, the the main feature on here is to point out where these hubs are. And these are all hubs. ETARC, Citizen Science Division. Then we've got the Galactic Atlas is a map. Let's see, wait. Then we got several different hubs here. We've got another Citizen Science Division hub. But there's just a whole lot. The Amino hub right here. There's just that's all this is. Well, it's not all this is. There's a couple fascinating places to visit, but this is hubs, right? This is what they are trying to, I don't know, show the community, like, hey, we know you guys are building hubs, and we want to kind of show that we care about that and show that it's important to us. So we're going to show this, we're going to show where your hub is on a galactic map on galacticatlasnomansky.com. So I really believe that building is definitely part of number 3, and it's going to work very well with No Man's Sky Online. But as Sean Murray said right here.
Right, but there's also this really important 10% where the game has completely changed in ways that people weren't expecting. We've added, base building and freighters and frigates and mission systems and NPC kind of quest trees and things like that I don't think people were really expecting. And we enjoy surprising people with that. Beyond, which is our next big update, has a whole bunch of that kind of stuff, right? Like,
Beyond has a whole bunch of that kind of stuff. A whole bunch of kind of stuff that we are going to be unaware of and just be shocked with. Think about No Man's Sky Online and think about all of the stuff that's going to come with that. And think about all the stuff that I believe that a lot of that stuff that's going to come with the building and the No Man's Sky Online, a lot of that stuff, a lot of those features, a lot of those gameplay mechanics are going to be utilized in single player as well. And I think that, he mentions there the NPC questry and the frigates and stuff like that. I think that both of those things are going to definitely have an improvement when it comes to Beyond. I think the NPC questry is going to be more fleshed out, more in depth now that they can walk around, which is something he hasn't mentioned, but it's on the survey/roadmap. It's on there, but they have not mentioned that as a feature yet. We just accidentally saw it at the State of Play. So, I just wanted to kind of just say, just because it sounds like I'm watering it down, because for the first time, it looks like we've got the breadcrumbs leading to the right place. I think that there's so much and Beyond that we're unaware of, so much that we're going to be able to take advantage of, even if we're playing single player. So much that when I think about Beyond, I think about a game called Boundless. Boundless is a great game. A lot of people don't like it because it looks a little Minecrafty, but the game was released with just bare planets. And the planets ended up becoming filled with cities built up because it's player-generated content. And people can build courthouses, and people can build these stores that can be shopped while you're offline. And it's a really community-driven game, and Boundless really does stand on its feet and doesn't rely on update after update to keep people interested in it. And I think that with Beyond, I think that's what we're going to finally get. I think No Man's Sky is going to be able to stand on its own 2 legs and not have to rely on its player base to be excited just because an update's coming. I really feel like that, and that does not include everybody. Just I talk to a lot of people, and a lot of people are like, yeah, I quit playing until the next update. And that's kind of, how we are. Not you, not me, but some people in this community. And I think No Man's Sky needs a good, strong update. And I think it needs to have something that can make it stand on its own 2 feet. And when we talk about variation, do I think that there's going to be variation? Probably, because polish of existing features is on the survey. Polish of existing features isn't really a content update, a titled update or anything like that. But when you think about variation, you think about assets that are in the game, you think about trees, plants, rocks, fauna, aliens, and stuff like that. Polish of existing features could include more variation in that. So I do have my fingers crossed for more variation and things like that, because that is actually at the top of my list. Variation. That's what I really want. I want a massive variation update. I'd be happy if they took an entire year with no updates and just pumped away at assets, pumped away at models, character models, fauna models, flora models, things like that, and geological formation, stuff like that. I would be happy if they waited a whole year and released a variation update. I think that No Man's Sky, one of the things it does very well is make it convincing that it is a universe, makes it convincing that you are on a planet, and there are beautiful planets, but every game could always use improvement. It's not just, that No Man's Sky doesn't have variation. No Man's Sky, in my opinion, offers way more variation than a lot of other games do. But with that said, I'm going to go ahead and dip out of here. I do want to show one thing from Yaucha. Yaucha has created a farm in the Cult of the Atlas hub, and it's amazing. He utilized a trading post right here, and there's multiple platforms for multiple people to land and not use their launch fuel, and pick from his farm. Very amazing. This is on PC normal mode, I believe. Yaucha, if you happen to see this video and it's not normal mode, please make it evident in the chat or in the comment section down below. But I believe this is PC normal mode. What a beautiful base. Utilizing the trading post there is just absolutely amazing. So thank you so much, Yaucha, for building that for us here at Coda. And as always, I love you guys. I will see everybody in the next video or the next stream. Until next time.